body breath. That is not in my nature, no, no, no. I never see people with them things and vex them of it, especially when they work hard for it. But it have some people.
6:43 coming up, 6:44, almost approaching half-time in that game between Wales and Iran. Lots of action apparently, but it's still 0-0 at this time. But let's focus now on concerns in the police service about vacancies, because the Police Social and Welfare Association is today expressing deep concern over what it says are vacancies within the service. President of the organization, acting ESP Gideon Dickson, says that this is hindering the TTPS from performing at optimum level during this crime epidemic. He joins us now to share his concerns. Acting ESP, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. So what are we talking about here with these vacancies?
Good morning, Fazil. Good morning to your viewership. Straight into it, we are speaking about the vacancies that exist at the levels of the Deputy Commissioners of Police, and we can even look at our vacancies at the rank of constables to corporals. We believe that critical to the operation success of the TTPS and us achieving our strategic objectives, which are aligned to the 2030 United Nations plan, we need to have our Deputy Commissioners of Police at the helm, taking charge of all our operations, be it from an administrative, from a criminal investigation, or from an operational perspective. This has not happening for the last year or nearing a year in terms of us having our full capacity of Deputy Commissioners of Police to treat with the issues that the country is faced with in terms of delivering on the mandate to keep this country safe and secure. And that is unacceptable, especially when there is regulations and which would have come as a result of the Constitution having in place guidelines by which persons can be confirmed or appointed into office. So we find that what is happening here right now is not tantamount to expecting or wanting the best from the police. So we question why all of this bureaucracy, why all of this unnecessary, because we see it as being unnecessary hindrance or interference in the police service.
Okay, well, that's what I was trying to get at. Explain this to me then. If there are these vacancies, and the mere fact that you have been acting now for almost 2 years tells us about this process anyway in Trinidad and Tobago, because almost everything in the public service, there's an acting appointment that goes on for eternity until just before you retire, and then you get permanent so you can get your pension. We all know how that game is played. But in any event, what is causing this situation right now? Why is it that this process is now being stalled as far as these appointments? What is going on here?
Well, that is the probing question we are asking, and we are asking the authorities. You would well remember after the court ruling last year, October, vacancies. We for the first time in the country's history, we had no one sitting as a commissioner for at least 2 months. So the head, the most senior person, would have run the organization. It had some challenges, and we had a new service commission put in place. That being said, we are well aware that that service commission would have been instrumental in having a legal notice prepared, legal notice 277 of 2021 dated 25th of November, which we believe was an excellent document which speaks to the process of appointing both a deputy commissioner or a commissioner of police, and even if it's not appointment, for the purpose of acting in those capacity. Immediately after that, 1 day later, we saw where that legal notice 277 was amended to legal notice 278. We raised issues with respect to what 278 would have suggested, because in the Constitution, in the Police Service Commission Regulation 101, Section 24, it speaks directly to how appointments for persons to act in the capacity is done. And we are seeing that when they would have created 277, legal notice 277, it was akin to that of the Constitution. And then when they created 278 to amend 277, it took away the role and effect that senior officers would have to play in terms of the acting or even consideration for confirmation in the rank. Those things we are seeing is a direct tweaking by those who are the legislators, and there is already a constitutional document which guides what's supposed to take place.
Okay, so let me ask you. So could I ask you, acting ASP, because I mean, whether it's 277 or 278 or 495 or 10,002, it don't really matter. I think what we're trying to get at is who is responsible. Are we talking about the acting commissioner of police? Are we talking about the service commission? Are we talking about the attorney general? Are we talking about the prime minister? Who is responsible for this?
From the person who is responsible for this is in fact the government of the day. And because they legislate, the constitution is already there, they will create the legal notice to go about the process. There is a process. Now we are saying, since Ms. Joanne Archie demitted office in December last year as the Deputy Commissioner Administration, the service operated minus its full complement of deputy commissioners. In October of this year, Mr. Williams, who was the next Deputy Commissioner of Police, demitted office. This service came down to one Deputy Commissioner of Police acting. And when Mr. McDonald Jacob attempted to leave the country, well, left the country last month, October, for 8 to 10 days on police matters, we had a situation where the acting Deputy Commissioner of Police, Ms. Erla Christopher, had to hold 4 posts. She had to act as the Commissioner of Police and also the other 3 Deputy Commissioners of Police. So we visited her office one of those days, and so we couldn't see her desk because all the work came on one desk, and that cannot be acceptable. And we are always under the magnifying glass. The police is no different from any other public body in terms of how you go about appointing persons to act. There's clear guidelines and regulation, but when it comes to the police, the legislators and they tend to use a big heavy sledgehammer to try to kill a mosquito, and we have issues with that.
Okay, so what would alleviate this situation? And again, notwithstanding all those different regulations and this amendment and that and the other, what will at least create a pathway, clear the way for these appointments to be and these vacancies to be filled?
Right. So we are strongly recommending that the government of the day allow the Service Commission to do these appointments, because that is their role, function, and responsibility. The bureaucracy in terms of the receiving the nominees, the doing the vetting of the nominees, the sending the nominees to the president sending it to the parliament send it back to the Service Commission after debates for an acting position in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, where career officers have placed their life and family life on the line, elevating oneself to go through that rigor for an acting appointment. That is not consistent with any other arm of the protective services or the civil service. Not even when you have to put someone to act as a prime minister. Those things don't happen. It's too much of bureaucracy just for acting. So we have had this situation continue, and it impacts upon the morals of the officers at the lower rank. And I made earlier reference to our issue that relates to the rank of constable to corporal. This is a serious issue, because presently you don't have a Deputy Commissioner of Police Administration to treat with the promotion of the over 2,400 constables to corporals, and where there are in excess of 900 vacancies, and we have officers passing the exams since 2009. These things have been playing a significant role in terms of the mentality, in terms of the passion, in terms of the exuberance demonstrated by officers and these things are easy fix. There's too much of bureaucracy.
And you know, acting ASP Dickson, I mean, if I pass the exam in 2009, 13 years ago, that would allow me to be promoted in a particular service or whatever. I mean, what are you still doing there?
Well, you remember, we are patriots. We took an oath of office to protect and serve. Not everyone called to be a police officer could be a police officer. And we are not the envy of most because our life, limb, and our family life also are placed in harm's way. But yet still, the record would show that the officers remain committed, dedicated, and devoted to performing their duties. And the authorities need to step up. This is not so difficult. We oftentimes see all the reasons why not. We could look at the other side of the glass and find why it could be done. We have made recommendations as it relates to the over 1,300 vacancies that exist in the TTPS with a strength of over 7,800 and we only operate at 6,400 plus. We have made recommendation where we could find the persons because in our recruitment process of integrating, let's say 300 officers a year and another 200 exiting every year based on attrition, it will not fill the basket of crime fighters in a timely manner or no time soon. So we have made recommendation that relates to accelerated recruitment for those special reserve officers who have their qualification. We have made recommendation for equivalency recruitment for those special reserve officers who have the qualification but age, of course, them to go beyond 35. Let us utilize these persons and fill those vacancies. The issue of promotion is a big, big thing. I know the issue of the deputy commissioners of police leading the charge from in front, from a strategic objective perspective, is also an issue which we feel the authorities need to address. Not should address, need to address, because when you do the comparison, there is no other entity faced with so much rigors in Trinidad and Tobago as the police service.
And acting ASP, before time runs out on us, and this is not the first time I've been hearing about it for years, about the issues related to promotion and whatever within the service. Given this situation, given the level of frustration among your members and probably yourself, given your acting appointment for almost 2 years now, what else can you do other than highlight it and prevail upon the authorities? And if the legislators continue to ignore these cries, what else can you do?
Well, from an association perspective, we will continue to champion the cause because it is our mandate. Everything in life is temporary. Everything. Both the legislators, my office at this point in time is temporary. We need to maximize as office holders in the best interest of the people we want to deliver to. So from that perspective, I would call on those in authority, from the Commissioner of Police to the Service Commission to the Minister of National Security and the Cabinet. Your time is temporary. Do the best to impact the lives of all. Similarly, I would try with my executive to impact in a positive way the life of my colleagues who are placing their life and their family life on the line every day so that we can be able to create a better product in terms of service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because everything intertwined. So the advocacy will continue, and we are very optimistic. The changes are not very difficult. It is people having the will, the desire to effect change in a positive way.
Acting ASP, well, the only thing that seems to be permanent is acting appointments in the service. But and I know you see the humor in it, but it's a serious situation, and it clearly and obviously impacts upon the morale within the police service. But we thank you very much indeed for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Thanks very much, Patrick.
You're more than welcome. Acting ASP, Gideon Dickson, the head of the Police Social and Welfare Association. And yes, it seems to be so normal in Trinidad and Tobago that you're in an acting appointment for eternity until just before you hit retirement, so that you be made permanent to at least ensure that you get all the requisites of the substantive office. It's a real game in public service, but even worse, apparently, in the police service as well. We'll take a break and then we go to the news at the top of the hour.
To shake me behind.